Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Do not change your computer settings or your TV station if you happen to watch us on TV, which that's really modernized if you do. Dude, this
You're probably
is
watching
the.
us on your laptops or desktops
That's true, that's true.
or
But,
phones.
yes, true. However, you're watching us tonight, we appreciate you being here, number one. But, this is the CFP National Championship picks and analysis. We have made it. It's the finale. It's it, Jackson. The final game of the 2024-2025 CFP/CFP regular season. And we're here to break it down, give you our pick for who we think is going to win it all tonight, and have a little fun along the way. But as yours truly, with Sports Talk with Austin Williams, and my co-host, my best friend here to break it down with me, who's been here all year long with me, Jackson Johnson of the Jacksonian Alabama Crimson Tide Live and all that good stuff. Jackson, how are you? And what's happening in your world?
It's been going pretty good. We're just kind of chilling out. It's pressure's not on Alabama, so we can just sit and chill. But in all seriousness, I've just been doing a lot of cooking, getting some things lined up for the upcoming week, and also most importantly, I'm excited about covering the national title between the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And it's a shame that both these schools have not played each other very often. It's like, can you believe that the national title is going to be the ninth time they've played each other in series history?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's something. It's something to behold, which we'll take a deeper dive into that when we get to breaking it down. But Jackson, I'm like you. I've just started to learn how to cook. I've been cooking, a long time, not to get too far off, but I've just learned now how to make a good mac and cheese. Out here in the South, if you don't know how to make a mac and cheese, you're in trouble. But they didn't. They don't want to hear our
Then I'd
cooking
be in
show.
huge trouble.
Jackson, you'll be in real trouble because Alabama is like the big state for mac and cheese and collard greens and green beans. You don't know how to make those, you're in trouble.
Well,
But
I should be able to learn real fast. I'm a fast learner.
but they did not come here to listen to us
Nope.
because we're not the cooking channel. We'll leave
Nope.
that to Guy Fieri on Wednesday nights.
Or that
But
or that dumbass Jesse Palmer.
poor Jesse catches strays even on his off night.
No,
Dadgum.
he's not a poor Jesse Palmer. He does a bad job covering college football, and he does a better job at Food Network and The Bachelorette more than he does college football. But that's another time for another day.
Hummus Hero real fast says, how about some fried okra? I've never made it. Have you, Jackson?
No, I've tasted it, but I've never made it.
And he also gives us a hello hummus.
Oh,
This has got to be an exciting time for you guys, because your first trip to the national title in almost 10 years now, the 10-year anniversary, and Rough Rider Returns is here. What's up?
Well, don't forget the last time they went to the Natty was in the COVID year. But I mean, that
is true. But the 10-year anniversary of when they won the whole thing. Let me put it that way.
There we go.
The 10-year anniversary of when they won it with Zeke and Cardale Jones. Might be the best Ohio State team we've seen. Might be. But this team might have something to say about that. But that's another debate for another night. We can have that later on. But I want to start us off with something tonight, Jackson. Kind of get our juices flowing in the championship spirit before we get to breaking this game down. I want to ask you, the audience, and of course, me and Jackson will get in on this. What defines a champion? And what I mean by that is when you hear the word champion, what comes to mind? What makes you, what's a champion to you? Is it resilience, heart, courage? What defines that for you?
Somebody
Jackson?
somebody that's had to go through a lot of hardships on and off the field. Where it's like if you had an early season loss, and it's not a matter of who you lost to, it's how you react to it. Or it's like if you have a bet up Gene Autry source, I like that for Rough Rider Returns. I love that. But yeah, for me, somebody that is the definition of champion is how you react to how your losses. Not so much about winning the big ones, but how you react to the losses that everybody thinks that is really humiliating for you. And like Notre Dame, for example, got upset by the Northern Illinois. They didn't let it deter their season. Or better yet, let's go to 2008. The Florida Gators lost a tight one to the Ole Miss Rebels. And then we saw like Tim Tebow making that post-game speech about how you're never going to see another player play as hard as I will, not just for me, but for my teammates. I'm gonna make sure that we don't have any more performances like that again. Like motivating your teammates. And like that 08 Florida team, looking back at it, to me, that's what defines a champion. It wasn't so much about how they were on the field, but off the field. Because it is like everybody was better on and off because of Tim Tebow, for example. Or if you look back at, say, there's a few others.
For me, Jackson, it kind of in the same line of yours, but for me, what defines a champion to me is are you willing to do the work? Are you willing to make the sacrifice? Are you willing to do what the others will not do? And because it takes a lot of sacrifice and dedication to get to where these players have gotten to. And like you said, Jackson, they've heard it all year long, both sides. Especially after the Michigan loss for Ohio State and for Notre Dame, Northern Illinois. Both teams were criticized. They took a gut punch. And they could have easily just stayed down. But they didn't. They got back up and they swung back. And that's another characteristic every champion needs to have, is when you get hit the hardest, how do you respond? Are you willing to get up off the mat, shake it off, and keep coming and taking everyone's best shot until you can't take it anymore? That's what a champion is. Someone who has heart, has courage, is resilient, and is willing to get up when everyone says you cannot get up. And for both of these teams, that's exactly their season in a nutshell. They got hit in the gut, and they both got back up, and they're both playing for everything now. You can't write a better story.
Exactly. I mean, like the Ohio State Buckeyes, losing their fourth straight matchup against the Michigan Wolverines this year. We heard all the talk. Well, Brian Day should be fired. He should be fired. He needs to go. He needs to go. But what does Ohio State do? They stomp a mud hole in the Tennessee Volunteers. They stomp a mud hole in the Oregon Ducks. They win a big game against the Texas Longhorns. Now they're playing for it all. And I think like that hot seat talk, which I don't think a lot of it existed to begin with, which is all yeah. And Honest here brings up So Like Luke and Cool Hand. That is a classic movie. 50 Eds in an hour. Like that dude, oof. I don't think everybody in the bunk was doing well that night after he ate those eggs. But I love how Dragline, that was like his buddy. Like at first they were like rivals, but then he saw like the resilience that Luke had. He's like, damn, I'm gonna hang out with this guy. But, it's like, and at the end where he was talking about that Luke smile, you all knew Luke. That was that favorite part, that Luke smile. This is my best George Kennedy impression I could do, but anyway.
But to this Jackson, there's a quote that I want to bring up real fast that I, to this day, that defines this game to a T. There, and you might know this, Jackson. To all the non-believers, to all the haters, to all the doubters, never underestimate a heart of a champion.
Agreed.
That is one of my favorite quotes. I've ever heard. I've even got. I read that every day to myself. Even though I'm not an athlete, as we could tell, but I just love that quote. Because you can be a champion in life too. Let's not kid ourselves.
There we go.
But these guys here though, they're the real champions. But that's one of my favorite quotes, and I think it defines both of these. To all their haters, to all their doubters, one of them is going to be champions, and one of them is going to shut their haters up, so to speak. But
there we go.
But Jackson, the moment we've all been waiting for. I got a good intro. It's a proper intro. We got to go out in style. So let me get ready for this. Let me get my Bruce Buffer going here. So, January 20th, 2025. It is the College Football Playoff National Championship between the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in Atlanta, GA. 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, and 4:30 Pacific. Let's go, baby. If this don't get your blood pumping, I don't know what will.
Well, we ready?
Yeah, go for it, Jack. Put it up on the screen.
There we go. The Ohio State Buckeyes and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Yes.
Here we go.
You do the honors, Jack.
Well, it's a shame that both of these schools have not played each other as much, because it's like I said earlier, this is going to be the 9th time that they've played each other. But, for those that look back at 2023, Notre Dame lost a tight one. And, somebody asked the other night, who would be more likely to beat Ohio State? Notre Dame or Penn State? Me personally, I think Notre Dame could. Not saying they will, but I'm saying they could. Because look at how they play against Georgia. Look at how they play against Indiana and Penn State. That team had some magic. I mean, it's like they got that running game going. They had a good enough passing game last week against Penn State. It was amazing from Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
And, special teams got going against Georgia. Defense got going. And, the Buckeyes, we've seen what they can do. They've got a magical offense. Because, Texas showed us a key to victory, which was, shutting down Jeremiah Smith. Now, that's not all the keys, which I'm sure we'll get to later on. But it is a shame that this game has not been played as much. But, when you look back at the historical aspects of it, the reason why it wasn't played they didn't play each other throughout the 40s through the early 90s was because of the fact that they really like one another. Because, Woody Hayes, when he was the head coach of Ohio State and when Eric Parsegian was the coach of Notre Dame, if they couldn't get, if Woody Hayes couldn't get people to go to Ohio State, he was like, you know what? Go to Notre Dame. That's good school for you. That's how fond he was in Notre Dame. And I think it was the same thing with Eric Parsegian. But yeah, it would be cool to see them play more often, after this. And who knows? Maybe we could see Notre Dame play Michigan a little more often after before 2033. But the Buckeyes, again, they've got a great offense. Smith, Buka, Henderson, Judkins.
Tate.
Oh yeah, that defense is amazing as well.
Mm-hmm. And Jackson, I want to. Go ahead.
Yeah, don't mess with Jackson Warrior. He's not someone you mess with.
I want to say this, Jackson. There's an underlining storyline here. I don't think a lot of people are talking about. But this is where, if you pay attention and you watch and you are a historian of college football, the last time these two teams met, Jackson, it was last year in
Mhm.
Notre Dame, and Notre Dame fell 1 second short.
Yep.
Think about that, Jackson. 1 second. They've had to deal with that humiliation for all this time. And I'm sure Marcus Freeman, I'm sure, has played that over and over and over again all week this week to know 1 second, guys. All it takes is 1 second. And I think that's going to be motivation for Notre Dame because they realize the heartbreak of having a top five team in the palm of their hands, and 1 second it all slips away. Is a very underrated storyline coming into this game, and I think Notre Dame will be fueled off that.
Yeah. They're not gonna forget about what happened last year.
And I want to bring this up too, Jackson. You know, we'll kind of break this down in a little more detail. The quarterback matchup: Riley Leonard against Will Howard. And on paper, a lot of people would say Will Howard's the better quarterback. And they both have their strengths and weaknesses. The thing that gives me the edge with Will Howard is he's a guy that he's a better thrower than Riley Leonard. Obviously, I think we've seen that plenty on tape. And he's got a more calm and poise about him. But with Riley Leonard, he threw 2 turnovers in that Penn State game, and they still found a way to win that game. Notre Dame's defense, Jackson, will keep them in this game, in my opinion. Like, if Riley Leonard makes mistakes, their defense, even though they're not healthy, and a lot of the critics have mentioned that this is where it's going to catch up with them, right? This is where the war of attrition is. Notre Dame's defense, they're gutsy, they're scrappy. Their defensive line, Jackson, they're going to be the big difference in this quarterback battle here. Because if you could get to Will Howard and you could get him off balance, off throne, he's prone to make a few mistakes. And his poise sometimes isn't always there when that happens. That's going to be the key. If Notre Dame can get some turnovers, if they can make Will Howard feel uncomfortable, they've got a shot. But on the other side, Riley Leonard, he's got to be able to throw the ball more than 5-10 yards. He's got to be able to take some deep shots, take advantage of the secondary, because that Ohio State D line, like Notre Dame's, is going to eat you alive. Because Ohio State's not going to be buying into, because Notre Dame is not a threat to throw the ball around the field on you. I'm sure defensive coordinator for Ohio State has put that in their head that Riley Leonard's not going to beat you with his arm. He's going to beat you with his legs. I'm sure that's going to be in the game plan. Put a spy up. Can Notre Dame, though, get a short field? And can they not kick field goals in the red zone? Because you cannot do this against Ohio State. If you kick field goals in the red zone, you're asking for Ohio State to win. Now, Michigan, they got away with it. They might be the one team that can get away with it. But Notre Dame, if you kick field goals in the red zone, you're not going to win this game. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry to say it, but it's not going to happen. Notre Dame has got to score, and they've got to score touchdowns. And their defense has to get turnovers and stops.
Yeah. Notre Dame doesn't get touchdowns, they will lose this game. It will hurt them if they don't get touchdowns. And they also have to make sure they put enough pressure on Will Howard. I mean, forget making sure you double team on Jeremiah Smith. You basically make life hell for Will Howard. You're good to go. you're going to be more than good to go. Because, like, I talked with Kevin Noon and a few other people on a Twitter space tonight, and, that was the key. Because Kevin Noon himself said it wasn't so much that, Texas was double teaming Jeremiah Smith. It was that they were pressuring Will Howard. So you do that, you are more than good to go. You put enough pressure on Will Howard, it's going to be good. And, he also mentioned that they had some penalties, which hurt them a little bit. That was hurting the Buckeyes. Because, like, they had 9 penalties against Texas. Like, had they not had that many penalties, I think it would have been much worse than 28-14 for Texas.
Yeah, and one thing I will give Texas credit is they put a blueprint out on how to guard Ohio State a little bit, on how to keep Jeremiah Smith contained. He had 3 targets, I think, and a catch for 3 yards. It was something ridiculous like that. I'm sure Notre Dame is going to watch the film from that game, and they need to integrate that. And put their fling on it, though, because Jeremiah Smith is what starts this offense. If he gets going, your life's going to be a nightmare. Like, just ask Oregon that. Yeah. And like you said, Jackson, the O-line, for as much as I thought that would be Ohio State's downfall, they've actually been one of the better spots throughout this playoff run. The way that they've been able to protect Will Howard and giving him calm and comfortness back there in the pocket, I think that's been one of the things I'm really impressed about with this Ohio State team is they've been able to deal with those injuries and they're still able to play at an efficient level. But like you said, though, Jackson, penalties will kill any team. I don't care if you're Ohio State, Notre Dame, Penn State, BYU, Texas, Oklahoma. Penalties kill a game for no matter who you are. Alabama, Jackson, that was your all's biggest downfall this year. Too many penalties, turnovers. Turnovers and penalties are game killers. One of the quotes Coach Saban always says, if you have penalties and turnovers, you're going to lose a football game more often than you will win.
Yep.
And that's the key to this. But the thing that worries me, though, Jackson, is do I trust Notre Dame? Because they are banged up in the secondary. They've been holding up. And Penn State was the first real challenge where I was like, okay, Tyler Warren, he ate them alive. But Penn State's wide receivers had no catches. Now, some people may say, well, Penn State, they didn't exactly have a good game plan, and they kind of gave Notre Dame an exit route. That could be true. But to their credit, though, they held everybody else at bay, but Tyler Warren had a big day. Ohio State, like we mentioned, they've got a plethora of weapons: Abuka, Tate, Smith. They've got a double-headed monster at running back in Henderson and Junkins. You've got the bruiser in Junkin, and you've got Henderson, who's the speed guy. Pick your poison. And this is where the war of attrition begins for Notre Dame. Can their healthy bodies that are in there, can they hold up? Can their offense do their part?
That's going to be the question.
And let me ask you this, Jackson. I know B-Bean says Notre Dame has no chance. Do you think Notre Dame? Do you think it's being over dramatized? Do you think that Notre Dame has no shot?
I think if Notre Dame can get some touchdowns going, they can do what they've been doing against Georgia and Penn State. They're really good. Mm-hmm.
See, B-Bean says right here, Notre Dame has no chance. What do you think?
I disagree with that.
You disagree? And Dreadnought Fear says Riley Leonard, better quarterback, wins the championship. Okay?
Yeah.
And Clint Moses, besides Will and D, I haven't heard anyone pick Notre Dame. Is the Ohio State sniffing their own farts too much? And Dreadnought Fear believes that Riley Leonard is way better than Will Howard. But Hummus disagrees. And he points out all the attributes that Will Howard contains. He's taller, more durable, a better arm. He can run like Leonard also. He just hasn't generally needed to. But he also points out Leonard is a competitor. And that is true. That is one thing, Jackson, that if you're going to win at any level, you need to be a competitor. And that's what Ryan Leonard is. Because Jackson, he took a pretty gnarly hit in that Penn State game, but he got back up and got in that game. Although he didn't look impressive, but he was the competitor. And he's been that way his whole career, even at Duke. Jackson last year, he hurt his ankle really bad, but he toughed it out because he wanted to be there, even though he wasn't quite healthy and wasn't playing right. And lucky for him, he didn't mess it up any worse. But that's the competitor he is. And Dreadnought Fear says Will Howard was horrible at Kansas State. I would say he was horrible. They won the Big 12. 12, I mean, 12, it certainly wasn't the defense. I mean, does anybody in the Big 12 have a defense? What do you think, Jackson? Any of these points
some teams
you disagree with?
Some teams got it in them, some teams don't.
And B Bean says, will the SEC officials call the game? Do we know that yet, Jackson? Who's calling the game?
Let's check and see who's going to be officiating.
And Hummus also points out Penn State doesn't have...
Yeah, Steve Marlowe from the SEC. Yes.
And Penn State doesn't have the best wide receiver talent, honestly. That is true.
Yeah, there's going to be an SEC officiating crew for this one.
Oh, boy. And Troy V says Penn State had 200 yards rushing. That is true. They did. And Hummus also says the best passed offense Notre Dame has played this season was USC, and they put up about 350 yards passing. That is true, too, yes. And that was not really good USC team for their standards. This wasn't Caleb Williams USC. There's a lot of weak holes in Notre Dame, yes. I'm not saying, but Notre Dame has their strengths as well. It's lopsided on paper, though. But as we know in sports, and if Jeffrey was here right now, he would agree with me on this. It's one game. Anything can happen in that one game. Notre Dame could take a kickoff back like they did against Georgia. Notre Dame could block a kick and return it. They could get a pick six, and all of a sudden it's 10-0 to start. Now, I'm not saying Ohio State can't recover from that. We've seen them do that. But one fluky play could turn a game on its head. Just ask Jackson about that. The kick six is a great example. I know, Jackson. I know. Bad memory. But it's a great example. And B. Bean says if Ohio State played Notre Dame 20 times, if Notre Dame played Notre Dame 20 times, Ohio State wins 19 times. I don't know about that. I mean, let's give Notre Dame a little credit. I mean, they're in the championship game for a reason, B. Bean. You don't get here by fluke. These are the two best teams. You don't get here by fluke. I'm sorry. Like this, Jackson, I'm going to go on a little rant here for a second, but to get to this level, you have to be great. You have to have some quality about you that the others don't possess. Now, I'm not saying Notre Dame or Ohio State's one over the better of the other. We'll find that on the field Monday night, who the better team is and who's the best. But both these teams are great in their own right. They both got here. They are the two best teams. And I am one that if you win it on the field, it doesn't matter if you have talent or not. If you make it to the national title or the Super Bowl, you are the two best teams in your field. And I understand Notre Dame beat Indiana. They beat a banged up Georgia team, beat Penn State. I understand that. But you realize how hard it is to get here? And luck is a quality, yes. Luck does play a part of it. Things do have to break your way, yes. But you have to be some semblance of good to great. Jackson, you are a perfect example, and I'll let you chime in on this. Alabama, one of the greatest dynasties we've ever witnessed in our lifetime. How much luck do you think played into that?
A little bit. I mean, you take 2009, for example, we got lucky against the Auburn Tigers. We got lucky against Tennessee by blocking field goals, not once, but twice. So luck played into that a little bit. Or, you look at 2015, we got lucky against Tennessee. We got lucky in the national title against Clemson with our play call for onside kick. We were going for that. It's like, it does take a little bit of luck, or better yet, the 2017 season, 2nd and 26, a lot there. Boom.
But the point I want to make is I understand B Bean's point, and I'm not saying he's right or wrong. We're all entitled to our opinion. I respect everyone's opinion. But you have to be a certain level of good to get there. Like, the thing is, Jackson, you go through 12, 13 regular season games and you go unscathed, and win the whole thing. That does take a bit of greatness on Coach Saban's part, on Tua's part, on Jalen's part, on Bryce's part. It does take a part in that. And Hummus even says, yep, exactly, Austin. Nobody is making it through a 12-team playoff being really good. Yes. Luck's not going to win you 4 games. It's not going to happen. You may get luck in 1 game, but 3, 4? No, you've got to have some quality about you. What that quality is about Notre Dame that's gotten them here, some may say their defense is really talented. Some may say it's because their offense is just good enough, or everyone has a different opinion. Ohio State, some may say their defense is what's gotten them here, and some may say the offense is what's gotten them here. That's all subjective and matter, but you have to do something really good to be to this point. Whatever it is you do good to great is what's gotten you here. That's why I understand the luck part, but to get through a 12-team playoff, to make it to this point, these are the 2 best teams. And Monday night, we're going to find out who the best is, who is the team to beat.
For sure.
And Dreadnought Fear is calling it, Jackson. He says, Notre Dame will win the national title. I like it. You're probably not the only one rooting for them. I'm sure the whole nation's going to be against Ohio State.
Well, I mean, especially with the way Marcus Freeman has motivated his team and the way the team just bust their butts for him.
Mm-hmm. And Dreadnought Fear also says Ohio State is way too cocky and they think they've already won, but they will lose. I will say, I don't think personally Ohio State, they're good. Actually, they're great. And they have every right to be cocky because they could back it up on the field. But that could get you caught. Now, I'm not saying it will, but. And Dave Linsky, he's saying go Irish. We got another Irish supporter in here, Jackson. And Hummus says back in the BCS era, you never really knew if it was the 2 best at the end. Now it's much more probable. Jackson, you were around for a lot of those Alabama games back in the BCS day. Would you agree with that statement?
I could agree with that.
That back then sometimes it was a little luck, but most of the time now the 2 best are there. And we got Moose in the house. We got a Michigan man here. We probably know who he's rooting for. But
I love the Leonardo DiCaprio meme for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood where he's just pointing at TV. I love that.
But he said, I would argue the level of competition goes down with more spots in the CFP. Reason why I keep saying Michigan won the last legit natty. Neither of these teams won their conference or went undefeated. That is true, yes. And I get that point. And Moose, you're 100% right to think that way, because that's a fair point, that winning your conference should matter. But it's also one of those two where it's also about the path you take to get there. And that's kind of a good segue, because I was getting ready to ask Jackson, who do you think had a harder path to get here? Ohio State or Notre Dame?
I would say Ohio State had a harder path.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, and it's shown, but like Notre Dame, for example, Jackson, Notre Dame, for example, Moose is apparently he's got him some haters in the chat, I guess. But Dave says he takes Moose's opinion with a grain of salt. He's a Michigan fan. Oh Lord, I don't know why Michigan is so hated all of a sudden, but here we are.
Well, that's the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry for you.
Yeah, it's true. Yes. And Hummus brings up a good point. The Ohio State fans might be overconfident and cocky. The players and coaches, I don't think so. No. You'll have those one or two knuckleheads that think they're all that, but most of the time, and I got to bring this up, Jackson. Did you see the Lou Holtz Ryan Day thing?
Oh man, they've been fussing. They're at it again.
Yeah, Lou Holtz is like.
I want to see Notre Dame, Ohio State play each other more often, because I want to hear Lou Holtz, talk about Ryan Day, and I want to hear Ryan Day talking a little bit about Lou Holtz, because I'm going to be honest, I want to hear what's said next.
And it's like, and I think it's one of those things, Jackson. I think it's a little silly. It's like, really, Ryan Day? I understand you didn't like what was said by Lou Holtz when he called you all soft. I understand that. You took that personal. I understand that, and I get that. But for y'all to continue this to this point, like, come on, guys. Don't act like children. For Christ's sakes. And we got the real MVP in here.
No.
We got Darrell in here. And Darrell says Ohio Yes, how about that? And Darrell says Ohio State is better than Notre Dame. This game should be over at halftime. I wouldn't count your chickens before they hatch there, Mr. Darrell. Notre Dame could surprise us all. You never know. And like Jackson says, you never want to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Don't throw the cart in before the horse. That's another.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
See that
either saying works.
Oh yeah.
But pigs could fly as well, Austin. Well, that is true, Darrell. That could happen. You never know. We'll draw some wings on some pigs and get magic fairy dust, and they'll fly tomorrow morning when we wake up. But in all seriousness, though, Notre Dame's got a chance. Not a great chance. I would give them about a 10% chance to win this game. That might spoil who I'm about ready to pick, but I give them a chance. Everybody's always got a chance.
Yeah.
And Moose says it's either going to be a close Notre Dame win or an Ohio State blowout. Yeah, I can see that. What about you, Jackson?
Yeah. I feel like, however, this game's going to be closer than the experts really have it.
Mm-hmm. And B Bean says how Notre Dame got there. He's explaining easy schedule, easy playoff draw, lucky plays in games like the 14 points in 50 seconds, UGA, big game Franklin, etc. Luck runs out on Monday. I mean, you make some great points, B Bean, but The big game, Franklin, I will die on this hill. He did not lose Penn State that game. I know I don't want to go on a big rant because then Jackson's going to have to take out of my pay here. But that was Drew Aller. He lost that game. James Franklin did everything he could. Drew Aller just decided to throw across his body like he's Patrick Mahomes. That's on him. I'll stick with that. The Georgia game, okay, you got me there. The easy schedule, sure, you got me. But and he says luck runs out on Monday. You never know, B Bean. The luck could run until after Monday. And B Bean says, Austin, your 10% chance is the 2 wins out of the 20 chances. Very close to my 1 out of 20, LOL. You made fun of me, LOL. Well, I could have said it 20-30%, but I get called nuts. I mean, just saying.
Oh, man.
And Darrell and Hummus talking about strategy. That's a good analogy, Darrell. Ohio State is the hammer and Notre Dame is the nail. Poor Notre Dame, Jackson. They're not getting no shot.
Well,
Jackson, help me out here.
Not according to a lot of people.
Jackson, help me out here. Convince some of these haters and non-believers that I'm not completely nuts if I pick Notre Dame. Help me out here. Help good buddy Will out.
Me who you pick. Like, you pick Notre Dame, cool. You pick Ohio State, cool, man. It's like...
Thanks, Jackson, for being on my team. I'm trying to get people to believe in Notre Dame. I'm trying to be the believer here, even though reality is going to set in on Monday. But you gotta have hope for the underdog. Gotta have hope for Will. Come on, Jackson, give Will some hope.
I know, right? I'm hoping Notre Dame can win, but we'll get to our predictions here in a little bit.
Oh, Jackson. Well, I'll say this, Jackson. What's the spread right now? What's the spread we're looking at?
Well, right now, Ohio State is an 8-point favorite in this game. Well, no, my mistake. They opened at 9.5, but right now the spread's 8 points. But the over/under total is 45.5.
That's a pretty big spread. And Darrell MVP says Will D's going to need to go to church after the. Oh my, poor Will. Darrell's just he's just like, this is not your day, Notre Dame. It's not gonna be. And Dave Lindsay says, I want Notre Dame to win since you're my second favorite college football since I was a kid, but I'm pretty sure Ohio State win this game. Well, Jackson, there's no believers. And B Bean says, why aren't you all streaming a live reaction video during the game? I mean, I wouldn't mind it. I mean, I don't have a dog in this fight. I want to say that. I don't have a dog in this fight. If Notre Dame wins, that makes Louisville's loss them look even better. But if Michigan wins, good for them. Notre Dame wins, good for them. Jackson,
Ohio State, you mixed them up a little bit.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm so sorry. But
I think you got a dog Jeffrey's been getting on your mind a little bit today.
Yeah, true. Yeah, thank you. But Jackson, you don't got a dog in this fight, do you? You don't care who wins, do you?
Nah. Although I do want to see Notre Dame win it all for the sake of our buddy Will.
I do too. It would be a nice story, and it would put a lot of the Marcus Freeman doubters to bed. But
I don't think Marcus Freeman's going to have any doubters. I think all those doubters are gone. because like Notre Dame has shown they could win the big game in the postseason, and it's kind of like when Kirby Smart first came to Georgia. The Mark Richt era, Georgia was winning enough games, but they weren't winning the big games, the big postseason games. They weren't getting any of that from Mark Richt. But then Kirby Smart comes in, boom, they win the big ones. They're winning the big regular season games, the big postseason games. Now they can win names. Although we're going to wait and see whether they can get some natties in the rest of the 2020s decade. But Kirby showed us he can win. Same thing with Clemson. People wanted to see if Clemson was going to be able to win the big one with Dabo, or if they were going to be Clemsoning. They were Clemsoning for a little bit, but then, boom, we saw Dabo gain a natty for Clemson for 2016 and 2018. For Marcus Freeman, I don't know if he's going to get Notre Dame a natty this year, but we know he's going to get the Fighting Irish a national title at some point in this decade. That you can count on.
And Jackson, our friend Darrell here, he says Ohio State has got a glorified bye in the national championship game. Darrell, we love you, good buddy. You're awesome, but come on, it's not a bye. Notre Dame's going to make this competitive. I believe in Notre Dame a little bit. I'm not saying they're going to win, but give them some props, Darrell. Come on, give them a little props. Come on, like you have to be good to get here. And Rough Rider Returns says, what is there to criticize about Freeman after the season they had? This season, but in seasons past, they were giving him a whole lot of flack. I remember there was talks that they wanted him out after he lost to Marshall and Stanford. I remember that. They were ready to throw his butt out on the raft.
Well, it wasn't the administration. It was the noisy fans that wanted him out. That they kind of just go by whatever the trend is at the moment. Good, bad, ugly, they go by the trend.
Well, yeah, that was the thing too, Jackson, because the fans, they were loud. They were pressuring the administration. They were like, we want him out. He's going to ruin our school. We want Brian Kelly back. And then, because you shouldn't be losing to Marshall with Stanford, Notre Dame. Like, it's just not supposed to happen. That's like Alabama losing to Stanford. Like, and Darrell said Notre Dame is going to try their best. I know Darrell's might be mocking me a little, but thank you, though, Darrell. Thank you. But, and Moose says he doesn't want either team to win, but if I have to choose, it's Notre Dame for two reasons. I don't want to see Ohio State win, and I'd like to see them win one for Will. Jackson, that'd be kind of like if your two rivals played in the title. LSU and Auburn played for the title. Who would you pick? Or Tennessee and Auburn?
Oh, man. That's a cluster right there. I know that a lot of our Michigan friends, they've not been too happy about this one because they're like, nope, we don't like it. We don't like it. They can blame them.
I would be too. That would be like Kentucky and Indiana playing for it all. I would be complexed. I'd probably root for Indiana. I just don't like Kentucky.
Kentucky, Cincinnati, or Kentucky, Memphis. That would be a cluster for Louisville right there.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. But good thing for me, Jackson, is I may not ever have to worry about that situation arising in football, maybe basketball.
Well, if Cincinnati can win a game of basketball, I mean, they're not in the early 60s where they're winning natties, but I love for them.
And Darrell asks, my only question is, what direction are Notre Dame fans going to take after this game? Go for it, Jackson.
I think they're going to be excited about where the future's going. I think they're going to be fine.
I think they'll be a little upset, but then they'll be like, "Hey, this was a special team," you know, and they'll celebrate afterwards. It's always heartbreaking at first when you lose a big game like this, the biggest game. If they do lose, I think it'll be one of those things. It'll be hard at first, but then they'll look back and say that was pretty darn special. We hushed a lot of the doubters, and everybody that said we need to join a conference can go away now.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's kind of going away for the time being, but it's popping back up. I mean, it's ramped up a little bit, especially with like Cam Newton on First Take. The top fashionista just running his mouth about Notre Dame should be in a conference, Notre Dame should be in a conference. Whatever, man. Whatever. It's like, but I do agree with this statement from Babine where he says Notre Dame should play Michigan every year. I agree. I agree. I mean, I feel like the TV networks for the Big Ten are going to try to make it happen. They're not sitting there waiting for 2033. That game's going to be played before then. Either sometime in the playoffs in the next few years, or you're going to see it come back as a regular season matchup. And
That's
Dave
true.
says that Notre Dame should renegotiate with the ACC or get out of the ACC contract. I can see, like, if conference realignment does open up again, I can see where that happens. Because, like, we got to remember, when the Big East was when everybody was just taking Big East teams left, right, and center in the mid 2000s, they almost took Syracuse, but fortunately they didn't at that time. But 2011, Big East was losing Syracuse Pitt. Boom, Notre Dame's waiting a year and going, let's take our other sports and get them out of the Big East, take them to the ACC. Because everybody's going to read the Big East. So that's how it happened. I think if you see conference realignment emerge again, like maybe not, I don't think it should happen in the summer of 2025. I mean, there's going to be talks. A lot of people talking about because, I mean, people are bored out of their minds in the off season. I mean, it's like they don't want to be scratching their rear ends and picking their nose or, looking at the latest magazine on Amazon or whatever. But
Jackson.
But people are going to be talking about conference realignment for a little bit, and then it's going to be on to the games. But when it does happen, watch for like Florida State, Clemson be like, "Oh, we're leaving the AC," and then Notre Dame, boom, gets out of their AC contract some way, shape, or form. But I mean, no time for Notre Dame.
And Moose, I want to bring this up because this is kind of interesting. Moose says the two worst possible teams playing in the Natty. If you're a Michigan fan, LOL. I kind of feel like the CFB gods are punishing us for the 15-0 Natty season last year. Yeah, they're just like, you know what? Instead of punishing y'all by taking away your players and stuff, your two most heated rivals, they're going to be playing for all the marbles when the new 12-team playoff comes out. Be like, enjoy that, Michigan. You're welcome. It's our gift to you.
That is very true. Notre Dame did want to join the Big Ten, but then they got spurned. It's like getting rejected by your high school crush for prom, but then like years later, your high school crush has turned into a freaking mess, and you're like better off than them. That's Notre Dame in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm. And Jackson, our good buddy DeReal here is giving Louisville crap. Listen, DeReal. Listen. Real fast, Jackson. DeReal, I respect you as a competitor, but football, you have owned us the last couple years, but football has been primarily our sport, good buddy. Football has been ours. I'll let y'all have basketball, but we're coming in basketball. Don't you worry, DeReal. We're coming back. but I respect you as a competitor. And Jackson, and Rough Rider Returns says Notre Dame will bring a huge fan base to the Big if they join the conference. They will. I don't think it matters what conference they join. They're going to bring their fan base with them no matter what. SEC, Big Ten. Heck, if they join the Big 12, which I don't think that's going to happen.
They wouldn't have any national rivals in the SEC or Big 12. I mean, it's like not anybody you can play on rivalry week. I mean, the Big 10, they got all the rivals: Michigan, Michigan State, Purdue, and USC. So I mean, you get to play USC. Like, you still get to play USC every year, but it's just like, but
Double J got the stroke. oh my, Jackson.
Oh, what was it with the pen, or how about what?
I don't know.
Not looking too bad.
Yeah. No, B-Bean, I don't block anybody. Hey, I call it a little brotherly push. I push Kentucky fans, they push me. It happens to all of us. It ain't that serious. We ain't Michigan, Ohio State. Not in football. Yeah. And Moose says, remember, oh, yes. My bad, Moose. I should have known that.
Yeah, Austin, the WWE expert. I'm a moron about it. I know like a few people on there, but that's it.
Yeah, he called the stroke. Yes, Moose. Now, Jackson, you'd make a good wrestler. You would. You'd make a good wrestler. Come off with the. Come off the top rope, be like, take this, Tennessee fans, pow! But that's another story for another day. Yes, sir. See, we have to talk trash because that's what rivalries are for. But
remind me to set something up do like a little 20-minute discussion. This time it won't be a 2-hour discussion. It'll be like a 20-minute discussion between the two of y'all on the Alabama Call-In show. That'll be cool.
Listen. I respect Kentucky and their history. We've got ours, they've got theirs. We don't like one another. I mean, that's okay. I'm cool with it. I'd rather them hate us than love us. And Wolverine Gage says Notre Dame has a chance as long as they stop the Ohio State running game. If it gets ugly early, that's going to be hard for Notre Dame to come back. That is true too. I don't think we talked about that, Jackson. But the running game for Ohio State is very, very. We mentioned it, but that is one thing you kind of forget about it because they lull you to sleep with their explosive plays with their receivers. That they also have a running game to rely on too, and that is what really, really helped them in the Texas game. What do you think, Jackson?
Agreed. Put a stop to the Ohio State offense. You're good to go.
Yes, I was born and raised in Kentucky, B-Bean, yes. I'm a proud Kentuckian. I just grew up as a Louisville fan, though. I grew up on the other side. My entire family, they're Kentucky fans. Born and raised here, though. And I became a Cowboys fan, too, because I was raised Cowboys fan from my dad's side. My dad's side, on down a little bit, they were Louisville fans, and I remember getting Louisville stuff for Christmas. And that's how I became a Louisville guy. And then, of course, here I am. Me and Jackson met all these years later, and here we are.
There we go.
And he said, do I remember when they played at Freedom Hall? Yes, I do. I remember that quite fondly. I went to a couple games at Freedom Hall. And that's kind of my origin story there. A quick one. But Jackson, as we get ready to wrap it up, is there anything else that we forgot to mention before we make our pick?
Well, I'll just tell you right now, it's going to be a wild one, and it's going to be awesome seeing what happens on January 20th, 2025, Monday night on ESPN.
Yeah, that is true. Well, Jackson, without further ado,
Our prediction.
Yeah. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
You go first.
Do I pick an upset? No. I'm not going to pick an upset. No, no. I want to, but I'm going to go Ohio State 31-17.
I'm gonna go Ohio State 24-21.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I put the call-in link in if y'all would like to come talk to us, about
Come
this, since
on
there's a lot
in.
of chatter.
Come on
Yeah,
in.
come on in. We'll,
Come on in.
we'll, we'll, we'll take we'll take a little call. We're feeling good tonight. The chat's flowing. If y'all want to come talk to us, come on in. Me and Jackson want to hear from you. Doesn't matter what fan base you're from. Now, obviously, if you're an Ohio State fan, we don't want to talk to you. Go shoot. No, I'm just kidding. We'll talk to you too.
We
Why?
talk to everybody.
Hey, don't make us the bad guys here.
Oh, we got
Drayton
our
Beer.
first
How
caller
dare?
tonight. We got our first caller tonight. He's the star. He's a star caller from Voice College Football, Darrell MVP. How you doing tonight, man?
Hello, guys. How are you doing this evening?
Oh, we're doing pretty good. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Austin, man, I love your optimism that this game's going to be competitive, but if Notre Dame goes man coverage, this game is going to be over just like that. I mean, God bless anybody trying to cover Jeremiah Smith one-on-one. That's all I can say. And Notre Dame, I don't think in a week and a half is going to be able to do something and change their defense, which they haven't been able to do all year. I just don't see it happening. I think Ohio State was built for this moment. I think the Michigan fan base and the Michigan team from last year unlocked this potential from Ohio State. I think the loss to Michigan unleashed the beast, and I think we're just all living in Ohio State's world at the current moment.
You could be right, Darrell. And I'll even say this, Darrell. I've said this multiple times. Jeremiah Smith's the best receiver in the country. You're not going to cover him one-on-one. I agree with you. Like, I feel bad for anybody that tries to cover him one-on-one. But there is a blueprint out there. Michigan and Texas did show us a bit of a blueprint on how to slow him down. Not stop him, but slow him down.
Yeah, but none of that involved covering him one-on-one. None of that did. And if Notre Dame thinks they can put their best man on Jeremiah Smith, then God bless them. They're going to need that Jesus statue to come down to Atlanta and have divine intervention. That's what they're going to need to stop him one-on-one. It's just not going to happen. And we're going to have to deal with him next year and the year after that, which is going to be annoying. I'm not sure if have you guys seen the 2026 odds to win the national championship?
I haven't yet. Let me guess. Is it Ohio State again?
It's Ohio State again at plus 450 on FanDuel. My goodness,
Lord.
The clear favorites. Not even like there's a bunch of teams. It's Ohio State, and then a gap to Texas and like Oregon and Georgia and those teams. We could be living in Ohio State's world just because they don't need a great quarterback. I mean, they get a Miller Moss player. Like I know Austin, just got Miller Moss. They get a Miller Moss caliber player. It's over. It's just over, man. They just got better players than most everybody else does. It's sad, but Michigan football had to win the national championship, and now I don't think Ohio State's going to be happy to tie Michigan. I think they want to beat them, and so they're going to win it next year as well. What do you guys' thoughts about that?
Go for it, Jackson.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens for 2025, 2026. But all I know is we're going to be seeing that way too early top 25 5 minutes after the national title ends. After we see one of the players on the winning team kiss that trophy, like, that's going to happen. We're going to be saying, oh, way too early top 25, number 1, number 5. I mean, we already got it from Bleacher Report, but the one from ESPN, we know we're all going to be looking at it out of curiosity. Although I can't wait for the summertime. I'm already counting down to it because that means the Phil Still magazine is going to be coming.
Right. I'm looking forward to the NFL season coming to an end because Moose, even though he claims he's not a troll in the comment section, always trolls and talks crap about how the Lions are favored against the Chiefs. So I'm just looking forward to Chiefs winning another Super Bowl so I get to go on Mark's show for a third straight year and say, hey, we won the Super Bowl again. Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback of all time. We got the greatest coach of all time, and Andy Reid. We got the greatest tight end of all time, and Travis Kelce. And the Lions are still the Lions and haven't won anything. By the way, guys, Commanders are what, 9.5-point dogs this week? 8.5-point dogs? Oh, man, can we get some Commanders money line action? Jane Daniels with Lions defense not being able to stop a nosebleed. Their defense in a hospital, basically. Where's all their best defenders? In the local hospital. That's where you'll be able to find them. Can we see some Commanders upsetting the Lions this week, gentlemen?
We could. I mean, Jade Daniels is that dude. I mean, it sucks being a Cowboys fan now that we've got to deal with them on a consistent basis again. But he's that dude.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I'm impressed with the coaching job that Dan Quinn has done with the Commanders this season, and the fact that we've seen Daniels have a fantastic rookie season. And ironically enough, the playoff drought the last playoff win prior to last Sunday was against the Buccaneers for the Commanders/Redskins. Now, 19 years later, boom, they beat the Buccaneers with a doink. How impressive.
No, it was a great game, man. I just feel so much more confident in Jaden Daniels when he has the football than Jared Goff. I mean, Jared Goff, what is that comment even? Okay, you're cut off the reel. Get off the panel. Moose, you can come on in and talk to me and explain why your Detroit Lions are better than the back-to-back world champions, okay? With the second best quarterback of all time, with the second best coach of all time, and with maybe the greatest tight end of all time. Okay? Patrick Mahomes has like the second or third most playoff wins by a quarterback of all time right now. Like right now. How many does Jared Goff have? How many do the Lions have? The answer, less than Patrick Mahomes as an organization. Well, that's sad. Our season it hasn't even started yet. The Kansas City Chiefs season starts in the AFC Championship game. 6 of the last 7 AFC Championship games is going to be hosted in the Arrowhead. Can we just have it permanently placed there? I mean, that would save the NFL a lot of money, and they could do a bunch of marketing and just say, hey, we're just going to have it in Kansas City. We all know they're going to be there, and they're all going to be the 1 or 2 seed anyway. So let's just have it there, and they have tons of marketing to sell tickets early.
Let's see how. I think the Chiefs will beat the Texans, of course, but let's see what they can do against the winner of the Ravens-Bills.
Well, that game is the AFC Championship game, is the Ravens, if we beat the Texans. And we should, because Tim Settle, I don't know if you know of him, a defensive lineman, made some trash-talking comments about how they're going to get Mahomes and he's not going to be able to scramble. But ironically, in the regular season matchup, there was an iconic picture of Patrick Mahomes, the second greatest quarterback of all time, just in case I haven't reminded you enough, running into the end zone while Tim Settle was literally laying on his back, just looking at Patrick Mahomes in the end zone. I think he was actually laying on his belly, just looking at Patrick Mahomes as he was waltzing into the end zone. Just Patrick Mahomes does. You talk trash to him, he makes you look foolish.
I gotta ask you, who are your top 3 greatest QBs of all time for the Kansas City Chiefs throughout the franchise history?
Oh gosh, that's a tough question. I'll put Patrick Mahomes 1, Patrick Mahomes 2, and Patrick Mahomes 3. How about that?
No Lynn Dawson?
No, listen. I don't know all-time rankings and stuff. I don't do any of that stuff. I care about, because the Kansas City Chiefs before Patrick Mahomes was pretty irrelevant, okay? And pretty just mid. As Jeffrey said, they were just a mid program and a mid team with like Alex Smith was the perfect encapsulation of what Kansas City Chiefs football was. They're a nice team, fun to root for, but never really did anything of significance. I know they won a Super Bowl way back ago, back when when Notre Dame was relevant. That's when they won a Super Bowl, when Notre Dame was relevant. That should tell you how long ago they won a Super Bowl.
I got to say this, though, Darrell. Alex Smith, a lot of people give him credit for the Patrick Mahomes success. And even Mahomes has even said the year he spent behind Alex Smith really did his career some good. And I do think if he would have just been thrown in, I think he would have struggled, but he would eventually have gotten to where he got to. But him being behind Alex Smith, I think really helped him. Even you have to admit that, Darrell, seeing how a veteran player like Alex Smith, like you said, is good. He's a good quarterback, and he's able to bring Mahomes along like he did. Even you have to admit that without Alex Smith, maybe we don't get this version of Mahomes as early as we got him.
I just know I got tired of watching the AFC version of Kirk Cousins every single year. A quarterback that'd go 12-5, 13-4, and he had no belief would win anything. Or like Sam Darnold was this year. Oh, they won all these meaningless games, and then they enter the playoff. What happened? They roll over and die immediately. I just got tired of seeing that. I am half full Kansas City. This is what good organizations do, not like the Lions, the Jags, the Texans. Just throw somebody in immediately and hope to goodness they're the greatest thing since sliced bread. I mean, look what the Jaguars have done with Trevor Lawrence. They just threw him in here immediately. He was one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever come out of college. Now he's completely irrelevant. He may not even get a second contract because of how hurt he is. And his team is terrible. Let's be honest. I mean, they're the Jaguars. My goodness.
Yeah. I mean, Darrell, you've been very blessed to see the Chiefs, but let me ask you something, Darrell.
Hold on.
Do you think?
Hold on. You have to say back-to-back Super Bowl winning Kansas City Chiefs. Excuse me.
Pardon me, Darrell. My apologies. Let me make sure I get this right. The back-to-back world champion and defending champions. You've been very blessed to see that. Almost like a New England Patriots-esque dynasty. Mm-hmm. Do you ever think we'll see something like this ever again? Or do you think Kansas City's going to be the last team to ever do it?
No, I think there will be another quarterback that lights it up. I mean, let's think about it. When was the last time the NFL hasn't had a clear-cut dynasty? Maybe since the late 90s, like the 96 to 99 range. But Tom Brady, when he stepped on that field, dynasty. And then you had 20 years, basically, until the 2018 playoff game between Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. It went perfectly to where Patrick Mahomes entered the dynasty. So we've had a dynasty this entire century, which is crazy to think about. And then before that, you had the 49ers and the Cowboys dynasty. And then you had the Pittsburgh Steelers dynasty. So the NFL, even though it had the
dynasty in the 60s.
Right, if you want to go that far back. But the NFL, even though it is marketed as the sport with the largest amount of parity, ironically, has the most amount of dynasties in terms of percentage in their history. Mm-hmm. And I got to say, as a Kansas City Chiefs fan, I got to apologize to the New England fan base. I just thought they were getting every single call and stuff. As a Chiefs fan, I love it, man. I love it. I was ripping on them for 20 years getting every single call. It's so nice being on the other end of it. Now, I can't imagine with all those other poor fan bases that are out there doing, just saying, oh my goodness, it's 4th and 16. Chiefs are playing the Bengals. You know what? Throw a pass interference flag and give us the W. You know what? Isn't it just so nice? It's so nice when you're getting those flags. It's so beautiful. And I'm sorry to rip those New England fans for all those years. Oh my goodness. Also, just the magical luck. Like, you know what? All the Las Vegas Raiders who were terrible, all they had to do was beat the Chiefs was snap the ball and run a play. No, the center snaps it before Aiden O'Connell could get it and the Kansas City Chiefs recover. It's so nice just having that luck. It's so nice.
It's so beautiful. You are a Kentucky fan, too. Let's not forget that. So that must be nice to get those calls in Rupp Arena.
Oh, beautiful, man. It is beautiful. Hey, listen. There's some perks to being a bigger brand in sports, okay? There are some genuine perks to being a bigger brand in sports. I will not lie. Okay? It is nice whenever... Listen, when we go to Louisville, I understand every call's going against us. But you all understand when you go to Rupp Arena, every call's going our way. That's the way it's been ever since the rivalry.
And I'll say this, Darrell, that's with any rivalry in sports. Like Ohio State, Michigan. Their fans will claim when they go to Columbus, everything goes against them. Same for Michigan. Ohio State fans, they think when they go to Michigan, Michigan gets all the calls. It's just how rivalries work in sport. Now, do the refs do favor some more than others? Yes. Do I think that? Yes, but most of the time, that's just how it works.
Right. I see a comment from Moose. Tom Brady's got 7 rings, and that is objectively true. Do you know the gap between Brady winning his 3rd ring and his 4th ring?
I think it's 3 years.
No, it wasn't 3. It was over. It's over a decade.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's right. Yeah.
Somehow we don't win it this year, which we're the back-to-back world defending champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, I don't even know what I'd be like losing a playoff game. I mean, fan bases lose playoff games. You know how just crazy of a sin that is? I mean, Jackson, you're an Alabama fan. You just expect to win every single game under Nick Saban, right?
We always want the big ones with Coach Saban.
But do you understand how strange of a feeling it is to lose games? Like, I don't even know as an NFL fan what it's like to lose anymore. That's how long ago it's since we've lost a meaningful game.
Here's the thing, Darrell. The only argument that would hurt your Mahomes argument, and this is objective, right down the middle. When it matters most, Brady has beaten Mahomes on the biggest stage, of the biggest of stages. That would be the only thing going against him. Even if Mahomes catches Brady, Brady still has the victories over Mahomes when it matters most.
Yeah, I know. The 2-0, which was 2-0 with the AFC Championship game in 2018, and then the Super Bowl when he was on the Bucs is going to hurt him. Which is why I think Patrick Mahomes, if he truly wants to be the undisputed GOAT, to have people like Moose on our side, we probably should get to 9 Super Bowl rings or 10 Super Bowl rings. Which, let's be honest, Austin, how hard is it going to win 9 Super Bowl rings? I mean, just got to wait like 12 years and then we'll be there, right?
I'll say this real fast, Darrell. Some players are lucky if they get 1 ring in whatever sport they are. Eli Manning got 2 rings, and let's be honest. He had some of the luckiest things fall his way. The helmet catch, obviously, or Brady would have had more. I mean, Peyton, he got a couple rings. Some quarterbacks like Matt Ryan, I think he's one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play his position. He never got one. Breeze only had the 1. And Breeze is a top 3 quarterback all time. In my opinion,
Right.
Still to this day.
I know. That's what's sad for Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow. I mean, they're going to have, 2 or 3 rings combined between all 3 of those players, and Mahomes going to have 9 or 10 Super Bowl rings? It's unfair.
Yes.
I mean, listen, put them in the NFC, and how many Super Bowl appearances would they have? A lot more than what they currently do is probably the answer. And I saw a comment, I think it's from Jason O, about me being a Chiefs fan since 2022. Listen, that's the only part about being a Chiefs fan that's somewhat of a struggle, is you have these bandwagoners. Because, the Chiefs Kingdom does have a lot of bandwagoners. We accept all new applicants to be part of the Chiefs Kingdom. You just have to recognize our king and queen, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Okay, you just recognize those as a king and queen, and then you're all good to go. Well, I will say that's the only downside to being a Chiefs fan. And I'm sure, Louisville, like when Louisville sort of won the national championship in 2013, but not really, you had a lot of bandwagoner fans that year, and that was a bit annoying, right?
Yes. And I'll be honest with you, Darrell, you'll be happy to hear this. Real fast, Jackson. The year y'all played the Eagles, I was the biggest Chiefs fan that you would ever meet besides your actual ones, because I dislike the Eagles that much. I would rather Mahomes get another one than the Eagles. And I had all my family members saying, "What's wrong with you? Why are you trying to have Mahomes win another one?" Because I don't want the Eagles to win any.
Well, I don't think you're going to have to worry about the Eagles this year winning a Super Bowl. I mean, Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. Their best player is a running back, which is a position in the NFL that's kind of completely fallen off the map over the last few years. The Rams honestly might beat them this week. The Rams have got a better coach and a better quarterback, in my opinion, than the Eagles. And the Eagles against the Packers did not look good at all. Like, if the Packers quarterback, Jordan Love, was able to not throw the football to the other team wearing green, they probably would have won that game, just to be honest with you. So the Eagles have to step it up. And Austin, I know you're a Cowboys fan. Good luck with Deion Sanders, man. I'm just telling you right now, good luck with that. That's a whole different world. You're going to have Jerry Jones and Deion Sanders in the same building at the same time. Can you imagine the conversation those two are going to have?
Lord help us, Darrell. Like, pray for us. That's all I need. Just pray for us.
You all might as well not be a football team anymore, and you might as well be a reality TV show. That's what you should be. At that point, I mean, my goodness. Hopefully you get relevant.
Well, we see Moose in the chat. Moose, we're praying for your health. We're praying for you to get the film better as much as possible. You are in our prayers, good buddy.
And we welcome Dave Walensky on. Dave, I know.
Yeah. How's it going, guys? How's it going, Jarrell? How's it going, guys?
It's going well. How about you, Moose? I mean, not Moose, David. I mean, you look like you're out there in the cold. Is it super cold in Minnesota right now?
It's 27 degrees right now. It's not that cold. Yesterday it was -8.
That's brutal. So why did you start? Do you got something you want to ask me, or why did you decide to call in?
Oh, I was going to call in anyway. I had nothing really to ask you or anything like that. I mean, we've already had our our fun in the chat earlier.
Fair.
So yeah, man. Yeah, I know. I don't hate the Kansas City Chiefs. I just feel indifferent about them. I don't. There's fan bases I really hate, like Eagles fans and Packers fans. So I mean, as long as they're not,
weren't there like Eagles fans like throwing batteries because they were mad? Yeah, I remember seeing
beer bottles, batteries. I got spat on. I was at the game.
Jesus.
So yeah, they are the most obnoxious fans.
Well, they had that moron ED. They had that sick dude EDP 445 as their fan.
Yeah, he's a complete evil person in society. But Dave, are you a Vikings fan?
Of course I am. I mean,
what's your thoughts on Sam Darnold? Should they give him a 1-year extension? Should they just pay him a buckload of money in order to be like the next Kirk Cousins?
Let's just say this: Sam Darnold looked like the Sam Darnold that we all thought we were going to get in the playoffs. I mean, we were surprised on how well he did, and then all of a sudden he decided to shit the bed. I mean, you also can blame our O-line to not block very well against the Rams. I mean, we lost the last 2 losses were against the same teams we lost in the regular season after the bye week. So,
hold on. Can you explain this concept to me of losing to a team? What do you mean by that?
Well, some people are not Kansas City, Darrell.
So you go out there and your team just doesn't win the game every week. That's
well, Darrell. That's what happens. It's a typical Minnesota tradition.
Oh, okay. You had that wonderful play against the Saints a few years ago. That Minneapolis Miracle.
The last time the Vikings won an NFL title was in 1969 against the Cleveland Browns, but unfortunately, they've never won a Super Bowl.
They never won a Super Bowl. No, they have never won a Super Bowl. I can also say the same thing for like Detroit. They also haven't won a Super Bowl. And
as a matter of fact, they're one of the
Drill. I'm going to say this to you: if you really want to get under a Detroit fan's skin, just say that they're just lucky to host Super Bowls. They're never going to be able to win them.
I appreciate it. It's kind of weird talking to Lions fans because there's a part of you that feels bad because, they're Lions fans. It's like attacking Browns fans. I mean, it's like there's some things that should be just against, should be like war crimes. You shouldn't just be able to do.
Well, the funny thing is, Lions fans are the nicest fans I've ever met, except for like on the internet lately. They act like they've won now 4 Super Bowls straight, and like you guys are nowhere freaking close yet.
You know what, Dave? That's a good idea. The Chiefs should not only go for a three-peat, they should go for a four-peat. That's a great idea. I like that idea. I like the way you think.
Yeah.
Three, you've got some
Well-
good ideas. You're a smart guy.
Oh yeah, well, Drill, sometimes you come up with some great ideas too. Sometimes I agree with you, and sometimes I think your SEC bias gets in the way of a lot of things. So
Well, that's fair.
No. I have a even better idea. Why don't the Chiefs just win the next 10 Super Bowls? That way, we don't have to worry about playing the season. Just give them the next 10.
I don't understand why most honestly. Why this is a I'm taking my Chiefs homerism out of this right now. I don't understand why the NFL expanded the playoffs to include a 7-2 matchup. It's been a complete dud. The only time it actually mattered was when it was against the Cowboys because they're the Cowboys, so they'll find a way to screw anything up. But
Yeah,
the 7-2
you're
game,
telling me to real.
I know the 7-2 game has been a complete joke, and it's kind of made my watching of Wild Card Weekend dampen because it's like a 33% of the playoff games now you just expect to be complete blowouts. And now I'm not as excited to looking forward to Wild Card Weekend. Do you all have that same feeling?
I feel the same way. 6 teams was good enough. It also gives you a good reason why the Packers. There were 6 teams in the playoffs. The Packers wouldn't be in the playoffs.
Well,
Yeah, that last weekend would have mattered a lot more if the Washington Packers result would have been the difference between the team making it and not versus seeding. I mean, when it's for seeding, who really cares?
Yeah. It just doesn't really matter at all. I mean, I miss the old ways of doing it. They only do it for money to expand their season, to expand the playoffs. There's been a lot of crappy teams that have gotten in as a 7 seed. There's been crappy teams that got in as a 6 seed. What is it? Is it the AFC South is just awful.
Yeah, I know. The Texans are what? 10-7, 9-8, something like that.
Yeah. They've made the playoffs many times and just being barely a team. And here's the other thing. I mean, the Vikings. Here's the other thing. I don't understand when the Vikings win like 14 games this year and they don't even get a home field game. That doesn't make any sense. Division winners should just be seeded by how well you are, not just like if you just won your division.
Well, and here's the thing too with that, Dave. Do you remember in 2020 when the NFC East we were really bad? There was a point in the season where you could have went 5-11 and hosted a home playoff game. That's how bad we were.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's been a lot of years like that. Heck, there's been a lot of years for the Vikings like that. There's been times when the North was really bad. We barely won like 9 games and still got the host and then got our asses kicked.
Well,
The
I
other
mean,
team was
look,
better.
NFC North now, it's really one of the most competitive divisions in all of pro football.
Yeah, I would say it's the best division in all of football.
Yeah, I'm just talking about in the past. In the past, it's been up and down. This has been a really big.
The
up
NFC
year.
West.
No, the
NFC
NFC West this year was terrible. The best team was the 10-7 Rams.
Well, generally the West is normally the best, but this year,
I understand. But this year was the North. I mean, the North has risen, as they like to say up there.
Yes, the North has risen, but the Bears, they're still. Ugh.
I mean, they're the Bears. I mean, you got to have
the Bears are going to be the Bears.
Right. Did you see that play where you had the safety or defensive back showboating as the Commanders were running down the field on the Hail Mary as the play was going on? And then he was the guy that tipped the ball that caused the Washington Commanders to score a touchdown. I mean, that is the most karma thing I think could ever happen. I mean, he's going to be immortalized by idiotic play highlight reels for his entire existence. He'll be known as that one guy, like Wrong Way Marshall is known as Wrong Way Marshall. He'll be known as that guy that cost him his team.
Yeah, it's hilarious to me that you bring that up, Real, because he was the same guy that got an interception against Sam Darnold in the last time we played the Bears, and he goes in the end zone and starts doing a mocking skull chant, and they still lost the game by a lot. I mean, what was the whole point of that?
Well, they're the Bears. I mean, let's be honest. How many touchdowns did they score? I mean, them touchdowns is like finding water in the desert. It's just something that doesn't happen very often. It's like,
Scored more touchdowns with their defense than they did with their offense this year.
feels like it's been that way for the last 5 or 10 years with Mitch Trubisky and Justin Fields at their quarterback help. I mean, my
Now,
goodness, I'd rather have Cooper Rush.
Darrell, we don't have to bring the Cowboys into this. I'm staying quiet. I know my place within this group. We are the third best team here.
Well, you're a very rare breed of Cowboys fan that's reasonable and rational.
Yeah,
That's a very rare type.
Yeah,
Well-
if I had to say like who's the most obnoxious fan base, I mean,
It would be the Cowboys.
It's Eagles, but then Cowboys has the next most. Well, okay, I say the Cowboys are obnoxious. The Eagles are just playing mean and vicious. And,
Yeah, they're crazy.
And then I remember they had what had happened. It was the one fan kept on calling the guy's wife that was a Packers fan the C word the whole entire time.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, he got banned. He got banned from Eagles games.
Yeah, he gets banned for that. How the hell does he get banned for that?
He should.
And I mean, he should, but Philadelphia fans have done a lot worse than just call people the C word.
Well, because Dave, it's because he went viral on the internet. That's the only reason.
Well, shit. I can show a whole bunch of people going viral. When I was at that game, there was a whole bunch of people that were throwing freaking stuff and spitting on people, and I've been called worse. Believe me. I mean, it's bad. It's bad that he said the C word.
Oh yeah,
But
he also got fired from his job, which is just so fun. Like,
See, here's the thing. And Jason O says the Dolphins and Bills fans are the worst. The Bills fans.
Hold on.
Unless you're
let me, Dave, Austin. Let me say this as a Chiefs fan, we'll keep the Bills fans in check. Okay, we'll play them every year and we'll beat them in the playoffs. So we've got them in check. Okay, we've got them.
The worst thing I know for Bills fans is they just get drunk and smash themselves in the tables all the damn time. So
they seem pretty polite. They seem pretty wholesome and good.
Yeah, except when your team beats them over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, I would love to know Jason O's gripe with the Dolphins. Is it because they had that undefeated year so long ago that they think they're hot stuff with Tua? And that they're going to do that again?
Oh, that's adorable, Moose. You think the Bills are going to beat us? Oh, that's adorable, man. I mean, that's just my heart warms for you, Moose. I mean, that's so.
Moose.
So I mean, I can't even talk trash to that because that's just so nonsense and delirious. I just have to say, you really think that, Moose? I mean, come on, man. You got to do trolling better than that. We've only beat them the last 4 times we played in the playoffs. Hey, maybe instead of a wide right situation, we'll have a wide left situation just to complete the.
Moose, as much as I know you want Darrell to be put to sleep, so to speak, with his Mahomes bias and stuff. If we're being honest, this is Mahomes' world, and we're just living in it. I've gotten used to it. We're entering another Brady era.
So, hold on. Entering another Brady era? We entered another Brady era, okay? We're not entering anything. This is the new world order. This is the new football order. Patrick Mahomes II is at least the second greatest quarterback of all time right now. He may be the best. In my opinion, he is the best. I mean, by the way, tough year for Michigan fans. Their Ohio State wins the national championship and they lose the greatest quarterback of all time in the same season. That's tough.
Let's not celebrate Ohio State's victory yet. They still have to play Notre Dame, and if the luck of the Irish actually comes through and Jesus finds a way and blah blah blah, most likely it won't happen. But let's not count out Notre Dame yet.
Oh,
most likely it won't happen. I do agree with you, Darrell. I think Ohio State will win. I don't want them to win.
I don't want them to win either. But they're going
to. Jason, I take it, is not a real big fan of the Dolphins.
But what's wrong with me? I like how he uses my name as a pejorative in his comments. Like,
And here's the thing, I get it. I'm gonna stick up for you, Darrell. Hold on. Maybe I can talk some sense into him. Listen, Darrell is like that neighborhood guy. You know, he's sweet and nice, but when it comes to his teams, that's when the gloves come off. Darrell just being normal and not talking sports, I'm sure is a good guy, a good wholesome guy. But when it comes to his Chiefs and SEC, you can forget about it. The gloves are coming off.
yeah, and I mean, listen, as a Chiefs fan, we haven't had a lot to talk about for a long time. I got put
They
in
don't know what
my
losing
pants.
is. They don't know what losing the biggest game of the year means.
Right. I mean, that hasn't happened since what, 2021? I honestly, all these Super Bowls at some point just kind of run together, and you forget, like, oh yeah, we were in that Super Bowl. You know how there was a stat a few years ago. You can turn on a random Super Bowl, and Tom Brady would appear like 20% of the time. That's how it's kind of feeling like Patrick Mahomes for me. Oh yeah, I forget we were in that Super Bowl and that Super Bowl as well. You know, it just kind of all runs together at this point.
Now, I have a question, Darrell. Were you always a Chiefs fan or just something you bandwagoned on?
No, I've always been a Chiefs fan. I've always been a Kansas City Chiefs fan.
All right. You know,
It
okay.
wasn't fun that year where we had like 7 Pro Bowlers and we went 2-14. That wasn't a fun year for Darrell, okay? Darrell in real life had a lot of people talking trash about his Kansas City Chiefs, okay? Because
I
a
mean,
lot of people were fans of teams better. And by a lot, I mean everybody else who was a fan of an NFL team.
all right. So you do remember when like Joe Montana used to be a Chiefs for that short period.
Yeah, after the 49, he got traded. Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, it was a cool novelty experiment, is what it was. It's like Aaron Rodgers to the Jets now. It didn't work out for the best. Let's put it that way. We didn't win the 3 Super Bowls in a row.
Yeah, well, didn't they go to the playoffs with him though? I
I
don't
mean,
remember. Did they? I mean, they did
I
a heck
think
of a
we
lot better
did,
than
but
what Aaron Rodgers did with the Jets. But then the Jets are the Jets, no matter who's quarterbacking.
right. But the Chiefs' mantra is we make the playoffs. We're a first round exit or second round exit team. That's the Chiefs
Well,
in a nutshell. What they've been before Mahomes got there, and then they won a Super Bowl way back in the day. Super Bowl
listen,
3 to be exact.
Yeah. I remember that was the first Vikings loss in the Super Bowl.
I want to say this: if anyone ever questions my Cowboys fandom, which I've had a couple people tell me, "Oh, you're not a real Cowboys fan." Well, since I was born in 2002, I never saw the Cowboys in their glory day, but I did see them at their worst when they went through 4 starting quarterbacks in one year: Brandon Wheaton, Kyle Orton. We went through Gary Gilbert. I went through all that. So if we come out on the other side and win a Super Bowl, which let's be honest, I don't think that's going to happen because Jerry Jones can't get out of his own way. Like there ain't no bandwagoning over here.
Right.
Yeah,
Whenever Kansas City doesn't become great again, and when we're all back here in 2040 or 2045, and Kansas City's back to being 9-8, and I'm still a Chiefs fan, then these accusations of bandwagon will go away. But we got a long time to go. Like a long time to go. Also, Moose, you do realize we beat the Ravens this year. What's Moose saying? I mean, just think about it. Kansas City's back-to-back Super Bowl champions. They got the best quarterback, best head coach. They got toughness, grit, and they have the best defense in all of the NFL. Okay? And yet he believes that half the playoff field is better than the Kansas City Chiefs. It'd be like having the Michigan 2023 team and then having Bryce Young at quarterback, okay? And say, you know what? That team shouldn't have even been in the playoffs. I mean, just think about that. I mean, come on, Moose. You if you're trolling, you kind of make comments that are actually productive and actually meaningful and actually have some oomph behind them. That way it can actually affect me instead of just naming a bunch of teams and saying they're better. How about this? The Jacksonville Jaguars are better than Lions. Why? Because I said so. And that's what you're saying by saying this, man. Come on.
See, here's what I love about this. Darrell, Moose, Dave, Jackson. This is what's so great about this. Guess what? We're going to play this on the field. And I hope the Lions Chiefs do meet in the Super Bowl because we can finally put this to rest. Who the better team is once and for all.
love to play the Lions in the Super Bowl. I don't know what the record is for most touchdowns, most yards, most rushing yards, but all of those records are in jeopardy if the Lions defense plays Patrick Mahomes. Okay, every record imaginable on offense Kansas City could get, they probably will get. Okay, Patrick Mahomes will probably have 550 yards of throwing. Travis Kelce will have like 250 yards of receiving because it'll be his final game. We'll intentionally throw. And the Lions defense doesn't exist because they're on the hospital now because they've had some horrific luck and injury. So, they'll have one of us out there on the field covering. It's like, good luck.
And here's the thing, Darrell, Moose does bring up a great point. You're talking a lot about Mahomes and everything, which you should. You have every right to. He's the baby goat, as Shannon Sharp likes to call him. But what are y'all going to do with that Lions offense?
Well,
your defensive line.
We have Trent McDuffie, who's the best cornerback, in my opinion, in all of the NFL. Shame he didn't get a Pro Bowl selection. I mean, that's worse than Patrick Mahomes not getting a Pro Bowl. And we also have this guy named Chris Jones. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's just the best defensive lineman in all of the NFL. I mean, he's like Aaron Donald 2.0, basically. He just completely wrecks the interior, needs like 2 or 3 guys. So we got 2 pretty good defensive players who could shut them down.
I don't know if Kansas City can hang with all that speed. And I'm not trying to start any arguments with you, Darrell. The Detroit Lions' speed is legit. Like, we've seen them how quick they can open up a game. They can go from 7-0 to 21-0 like that.
I understand.
That's how quick they can score.
But to answer Moose's comment, Kansas City's played in the only NFL game in history where both teams have scored 50 points. So if we need to score 51, 52 to beat the Lions and play a 55, 52 type game, we've proven we can play those type of games.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's 49-51, Kansas City. I mean, that's how crazy this game could be if that ever happened. So I think both teams are very, very good offensively. It's just, like you said, Lions defense is just so torn up.
And that's the thing too, Dave. I think the biggest threat to the Chiefs is Detroit. That's not in their conference. It's Detroit. Because if they play Philly again,
just give us the title already. It's over. If they're the biggest threat,
well, because Darrell, I don't trust Josh Allen against Mahomes. He can't win in the playoffs. Even if you give Mahomes 13 seconds, it don't matter. I'm still going to pick Mahomes to win the game. He's done it.
Right. I'm worried about the Ravens. The Ravens, to me, and the people that made this comparison, Lamar feels like Peyton Manning, while Patrick Mahomes feels like Tom Brady. It feels like eventually Lamar Jackson is going to beat Patrick Mahomes. He's got the talent to do it, and his team looks really, when they look elite, they just crush everybody. I mean, they crush great teams. They crushed the Bills earlier this year. People just don't do that. Even the Lions, when they play, I mean, they crush bad teams like the Jaguars, but I'm worried about the Ravens, and I'm going to be surprised if Kansas City is underdogs to the Ravens because, we're underdogs to everybody. I mean, I guess Vegas doesn't like predicting games correctly anymore,
That's the thing, though, Darrell. That's when you all shine and thrive, though. Last year, everyone picked you to lose to Buffalo. Everyone's like, oh, Mahomes going on the road. I don't know if he can handle this. What happens? He goes to Buffalo and win. Then they're like, oh, surely the Ravens, the best running offense and the best defense. This is bad news, Kansas City. This is where the road ends, And then San Francisco. Everyone was like, oh, here we go. Mahomes is going to get it now. Oh, a 10-point deficit. Oh, that's nothing. And Taylor Swift in the crowd. That's nothing. I got this.
Well, guys, I actually got to get going. It's later than I expected. I've got some stuff I got to do. So, but anyway, it's good talking to you, gentlemen. I'll see you all later.
See you later, Darrell.
See you tomorrow, man. Well, what's your prediction for the national title, Mr. Dave?
Well, my prediction, what I wish for is a 27-24 Notre Dame victory, last second field goal. My actual prediction is Ohio State, I would say 31 to like 14. I mean,
Okay.
that's my actual prediction. And my battery's about to die too, so I have to get going myself, guys. So
All right.
Oh, well.
And well, the battery died, I guess, and we'll be seeing Minnesota Dave real soon.
Yes.
Oh,
I mean, Jackson, we veered off into the woods, so to speak.
yeah.
But just in case anyone forgot, Jackson, remind the people of your score before we go for the
I've
night.
got Ohio
Just that.
State win 24-21 against Notre Dame.
Okay, you got a field goal. I've got
Mhm.
Ohio State winning 34-17.
There we go.
And Dave, have a nice night. And
You
Moose
too, man.
says, because when Detroit is 100%, nobody can touch them. Agree. And Jason O likes Baltimore fans. There we go. Well, Jason O, I don't know if you like this fan base or not, but I know you like one person in this fan base. And he happens to run a show that is in the fan base. Now, I
Okay.
don't know if Jackson makes up for the entire fan base, but he can only do so much. But good buddy Jackson, the floor is yours.
Well, you can check me out on Alabama at the Voice College Football. Johnny and I laid to rest, which was the 2024 season for the Alabama Crimson Tide. And I believe next week we'll be going over what's the plan for 2025 and much more. Thursday night, well, later tonight, I guess, will be the 15th edition of the Alabama Call-In Show, where Jeffrey and I take your calls on the Alabama Crimson Tide and your takes on them. And of course, we've got, well, coming up, I've got episode 59 of the Jacksonian, where I will be filming with Mike Debate, the host of Locked On Patriots, where we will discuss our take on what is going on with New England. How are they doing with the Mike Vrabel hires so far? How's it working out for them? And much more. And that will be released at 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, Friday afternoon at 5:15 p.m. Central Time, 6:15 p.m. Eastern Time will be the 60th edition of the Jacksonian with Trevor Trowbridge, the staff writer for Irish Breakdown, where we will preview the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and their path to the national title. We'll be going over so many fun topics on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And next Tuesday will be the release of episode 61 of the Jacksonian with the host of Locked On Titans, Tyler Rowland, as we go over our take on what's going on with the Titans. And of course, for more updates on what I've got planned on Alabama at the Voice College Football, on Alabama at the Voice College Football and the Jacksonian, check me out on Jackson Johnson 543906 on Instagram and Threads, and Jackson Johnson. Jackson VOCFB. Sorry, I am not doing so hot at the moment. I'm apparently did not get any rest, I guess, tonight. But you can check me out on Jackson VOCFB for more updates on what I've got planned. And you can also check me out on Blue Sky, where I've got updates on there as well. So for those that are like, I don't feel like going on Twitter, I don't feel like going on Instagram or whatever, no problem. You can check me out on Blue Sky. Where I go where the wind's blowing at the moment, but I got no issue with Twitter. I've got no issue with Instagram, Threads, whatever. But if you got an issue with them, you can find me on there, man. Stay tuned for more.
And real quick, Dreadnought Fear wants me to announce his score, which I have no problem. He's got Notre Dame 21-7 over the Ohio State University. And Traveling Fools is in the building. Go Irish.
Nice.
Hey, Travel Fools, I've got one question for you, one question only. When are we going to see Miami back in the national title game?
Oh Lord.
No, I'm being serious.
Yeah, I
Like,
know.
when are we actually?
I know you are. I know you are.
Like, I'm being serious. Like if Notre Dame can find a nut, why can't Miami? I'm just saying.
I know.
But oh well. Well, that's another day for another discussion, I guess. But like Jackson said though, you can find me here on YouTube for Talk with Austin 2002, and you can find me on Twitter as well. And we will be going live, to answer a couple the questions that were asked earlier that we didn't get to. Our apologies. We kind of got off the rails there for a minute, but we're back. We got back on it by the grace of God. We will be going live Monday night after the national title game, and we will be breaking down the game, looking at the way too early top 25, and we will be taking calls that night again.
Mm-hmm.
Since it's the last game of the year, we'll be taking your calls, way too early top 25, and just our analysis of the game. Hopefully, it's competitive, whoever wins, but more than likely, like the real said, it could get ugly. But we also, then after that, we'll have two more shows that we can tell you about. We'll have the transfer portal update as well after the national title. After the dust settles, we'll go through, talk about the transfer portal, may even take your call on that too. And then we got Bowl Mania recap. We'll recap all the bowl games, talk about some of our favorites, some of the best. Do a little bit of bowl mania recapping, a little bowling, a little light bowling. I know Jackson's the best bowler here. I can't bowl. But we'll be doing that on both mine and Jackson's channel. And then on Twitter, of course, you can see my updates on a lot of different things. And, Moose, since he's a big wrestling guy, it seems like, I tweet about that a lot. I love me some wrestling. As you could tell with my Cena poster here in my office, you'll love me some John Cena. But that's neither here nor there. But we thank you all for being here tonight and sticking with us. We're a crazy couple guys trying to living our best life. We're glad you hung out with us. We appreciate y'all.
But we're doing our best to make sure we're not staying up too much till like 3 a.m. Because if we do, then we get bads under our bags.
That's true. And Travel Fool says next year for sure. Okay, I'll hold you to that, Travel Fools. If Miami doesn't make the national title, I will buy you a steak dinner if they don't. There. And Jackson will too. He'll pitch in too.
Well, there we go.
He said we'll be off season next week, so we will be back then. Exactly. And Clint Moses says he's picking Notre Dame as well. Well, and Rough Rider says thank you. No, we thank you, Rough Rider, because without you, we would not have a show. We would just be sitting here talking to ourselves, basically. But with you all here, at least we're talking to somebody, even though we're talking to ourselves. But either way, we thank you all for being here, and we will see you live Monday night after the national title goes final. And we're gonna do our thing. But till next time.
Roll Tide.
Well, hold on. You know what? Since I'm feeling generous, there's only one right way.
There we go.
Oh yeah, Jack. Yep, Jackson. We're gonna have the Pop-Tart play us out tonight. Oh yeah. Jackson, put that thing back in your pants. Nobody needs to see that. There's children watching. I get you like he's toasting your buns, but stop.
See, my hands are in all the right places. No worries.
Mm-hmm.